it's been a minute since we've been able to do the podcast here. Many different reasons, many good reasons. A lot of great things going on with eHack. A lot of great things going on with the fintech. A lot of great things going on. Oh, not the stock market. Well, although then again, the Qs are like all-time highs. You know, the Nike swoosh is forming. It's like the tip of the swoosh is there. Now you just need the handlebar, and then the Nike swoosh will be complete. It's kind of crazy. It's actually happening. But what also is crazy is, what is Elon Musk doing? You had a picture that you found that Elon Musk is promoting on his Twitter profile. Can we throw that up on screen? This is I guess what you go to. And at first you might think it's something like inappropriate, but it's just a dude watching Javier Milei at the World Economic Forum.
Yeah, I don't know what people are freaking about. I just see a guy on his laptop just watching Davos. It's
normal, totally normal. Yeah. It's bizarre time that we're in, I think I will say. Since we were here the last time, we've had the Red Sea not get better, but instead get worse. So it's like America arrived and then everything started falling apart. I have to say that was unexpected for this year. I guess some people are probably shaking their heads going, come on, Kevin, you should have seen it coming. Then I also didn't expect Iran to strike within the rural areas of Pakistan, only for Pakistan to fight back. And then for another 5,000 euro price cut on Teslas in Europe, we get a lot of entertainment to cover, including some reactions if we can get to them. I'd love to hit what Brett said about the Fed, too, which could feed well into kind of what I think is coming this year in markets, which is pretty scary. But I don't know, Mikey, what do you got?
A lot. I got a lot, man. I don't even know where to start. I got Tesla FUD. I got Tesla Bull News. I have it all.
Let's go.
Well, I don't know if you heard, but the new Model 3 is released in the United States.
Ooh, the refreshed version. You know what we decided the other day is we don't actually want the new Teslas. We want was it the pre-21? I think it's pre-21.
Yeah, 20 and before.
You want pre-21 because then you don't have the internal cabin camera. We only knew that because the other day we all took my Black X for a ride, and
you took the front. I was in the back.
It was great. Yeah, it was a fantastic ride, and no internal cabin camera. The amount of annoying interference that I got from the Tesla Autopilot software, which is fully up to date on that vehicle, was zero. It was glorious. I can't wait to ride my Black X again.
Dude, the new FSD is so unusable just because of the nagging. The software is fine. It nags you. You can't even look at the screen for a second. It's like, take over, beep, 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 emergency. It's the worst. It's the worst. But the Model 3 refresh, I think it does look pretty cool. And I have the video over here, the Tesla trailer for the new Model 3. This is, if you buy a Model 3 now, this is what's listed on their website, is this new one. It's got the new headlights. It's a little bit longer than the other one.
Oh, did they put an LED in the inside?
Oh, yeah. It's got the inside, the interior trim. You can change the colors.
Initially I thought it was a waste, but I really like it. I saw it in the Cybertruck. It's a really good touch.
It's got a screen in the back. It's got ventilated front seats. It's really nice. I especially like the back end. I do miss the front end of the old one a little bit. I'm not going to lie.
Now, how nice is that going to be for margin? Next topic?
Yeah. Well, no, I do assume it's going to be good for margin. Otherwise, they wouldn't have refreshed it. Knowing Tesla, they would have just kept it if it
that's a good
made
point.
it worse.
Yeah, you're right. They probably there are probably some hidden efficiencies in there and reasons for that. That's a good point.
They are the same price.
Yeah,
it's a little bit more efficient than the last one. It's a little bit
Would
bigger.
They just change the drag or the?
It's got a better drag coefficient.
Okay.
It's possible the battery improved, but there's nothing there that I've heard about. I just heard that it's 2.4% higher on range with the same size pack.
Computer programming.
50% of the parts in this car are new.
Wow. That sounds like it's gonna hurt margin.
Yeah. The long range is lighter. Rear-wheel drive is a little bit heavier. Ground clearance is a little bit lower, so I think that might have to do with the aerodynamic improvement there, too.
Yeah.
The interior is, really, really nice. It's got, that cloth-looking interior.
It is nice. It does look good. But, I don't know if internal cabin camera or the latest and greatest interior. Part of me is give me the old one. We were looking at some of the used old ones, and you could buy a used Model X from 17 or something like that. So yeah, I get it. It's 6 years old, but it's $37 grand, and you get Model X with no internal cabin camera and like what 60K miles or something, and so we're looking, going, oh man, that battery should still be under warranty for the first 10 years, and so which means you got 4 more years. Ooh, 4 more years. I don't know. Do people want to hear that? Half the country does, and then. Yeah, I mean, no, the internal cabin here, they need to turn down those notifications. It's like you said, it's almost unusable. Now, I haven't upgraded yet. Somebody else in the office, they took theirs in for a tire swap, I think it was, or something. They're like, please do not update the service. Poor service folks are like, what do you mean? That's part of like service. We provide service. No, we don't want your last update.
It's just a matter of time before it gets better again. For now, the old ones I think are better just because of the lack of nag. But if this goes away in the next year, then I don't know, you might feel like you're kind of holding the bag if you buy an old one right now.
That's also true. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, it's just the pendulum swings. You know, it's like more nags, too many nags. It goes back. All right, whatever.
But end of January, that's when deliveries of these new ones are going to start. And I don't know, it's pretty cool. No fog lights, though, which I think was kind of a lame change.
But who turns on their fog lights?
I
Do you?
One, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Last time I drove over here, this last weekend, it was very foggy.
It didn't have like a pileup?
2 weeks ago around
Because they
Bakersfield.
didn't have fog lights.
It was like 30 some cars. I don't know if the fog lights would have saved. It was dense fog.
Most, like, the only people I see with their fog lights actually on, I mean, I know how to use fog lights in the fog. Imagine that. So you get that lower light. But the only people that I see use it are like brand new car owners that have no idea what they're doing. And they're like, what's this green button? And they're driving like fully clear day and they got this bright light on. It's just nuts. But
I think they look cool.
That is true.
Yeah,
they do look cool. They do look cool. But that's how we save margin again. See, it's give and take.
You're right.
Take the feature nobody's using. I mean, that's why they got rid of the sunroof. Remember the sunroof that they had, a while ago? Boy, this must have been like 6 years ago or more. Or they just never included them. I thought it was the Model S. The original Model S's I thought had one. I can't remember where this was, but somewhere Elon realized that people's usage of an actual sunroof was nominal, whether it was through his research or in an old vehicle, and they decided not to do it. And I think that's fair. I mean, any car I've ever had with a sunroof, it's kind of like you use it for the first week and then you never use it again. Unless somebody goes, a little poopsie doopsie in the car and then you push the little tilt button. But yeah, we have windows for that. Anyway, what else we got?
So that's some cool news about Tesla. I got some more bull news. Is Tesla's actually gearing up for presence in India?
Well, why is the stock going down then?
I don't know, man. It might be the FUD that's on the news, and we can go over that next. But right now with India, there's talks about a $30 billion investment over the next 5 years. And that includes building a gigafactory, building a charging network, and most substantially, a $3 billion investment for a new car from the Indian plant that's specifically designed for the developing world. So this isn't the Model 2. This is something smaller and cheaper than that.
Like the Model 1, basically. Yeah, probably. Yeah, I mean, but I think that's great because that's how you can compete at a mass scale with a company like BYD. If you could squeeze out FSD subscriptions at even quite frankly, a zero margin car that was $10,000 or what is that, like 100,000 rupees or something like that? I mean, like you could still make money that way. So like Elon always says, sell the software. And I bet you the Indian government will attach a lot of subsidies to this. Have you seen anything on subsidies on Tesla and talks on these $30 billion? That would be interesting.
No,
Tesla,
but right now
India.
I know they have a 100% tariff in India for EVs imported from out of the country.
Yeah.
So that's what their end of the bargain is going to be. Is they're going to potentially reduce that to 15%. But they haven't officially decided yet. So this is still a little bit up in the air.
Yeah, India has set aside around $6 billion under 2 programs to boost EV sales and manufacturing. Okay, so they'll probably try to distribute that to various... I'm sure BYD is going to be in there with their hand out. But it's nice to see Tesla's actually in there, too. But that is interesting. $6 billion. So $6 billion under 2 programs to boost EV sales. Under the schemes, automakers and battery manufacturers can get certain cashback incentives for selling and exporting locally made vehicles and parts. It's a smart government. Yeah, it's smart. I think you could easily support this and then incentivize the production and you boost GDP in the area. Totally agree.
It's great. Let's move on to some FUD.
Okay.
So over this last week, Chicago, it's been a little bit chilly.
Okay.
Apparently that city gets like windy or something. I don't know. but windy and snowy. And so
Windy city.
there were a lot of Teslas going up to the superchargers, and they take longer because in the cold temperature, everything works a lot slower. So a lot of owners were running out of juice like while waiting for it, and people were just leaving their cars abandoned. So it was kind of a graveyard. But here's what the news covered. This is on Fox. Watch this video.
But it was no laughing matter to people like Kevin Sumrack, who landed at O'Hare last night to find his Tesla dead, forcing him to hire a flatbed tow truck to try to find a working charging station.
So I can get back to Indiana.
But you can't find one that's charging or working?
So the big thing about this is the end of the video. That ain't a Tesla. That's an Audi.
Yeah, I was wondering. I'm like, where's the Tesla? I'm like, wait a minute. That looks like an interesting looking car here. But they're running Tesla Disaster on this.
Yes.
But are they even on the Tesla network yet? I know they've adopted the North American charging standard, but I don't think they've actually converted yet.
I think there's some version 4 chargers that at this point, maybe in the US, I know for sure in Europe, that are allowing non-Teslas too, but it's very few and far in between. But the fact is that's not a Tesla. And they found that, and the reporter didn't notice, and nobody noticed, and they like let this slide. And the fact is it's not a Tesla problem. Like EVs in general are impacted by the cold. And it turns out all cars are.
Even gas? Why?
Oh, yeah. You need them up to temperature for them to work most efficiently. Like you're getting
to get the efficiency up. Yeah, and I think what happens too with the EVs is, people leave them at the airports. I mean, how long was the guy sitting there? I've had that problem too before, where you go to the airport and if you leave your car sitting there for too long, the battery drains. It is something you have to pre-plan for, and that is something you don't necessarily have with gas. I mean, the gas isn't going to stale out on you because you go on like a 10-day trip. But your battery might be dead, especially if you have that darn Sentry mode on in actual Teslas.
It's an absolute battery drain. Yeah. Fortunately, a lot of airports actually have EV parking now, and you can actually plug them in.
Yeah. Aren't you like the scumbag, though, who hogs it for like a week?
When I went to LAX, there was an entire row or an entire floor in the garage that had dozens, maybe 100+ EV charging stalls in there.
Wow.
The problem is it's expensive.
Well, yeah, they charge like $50 a day now or something.
60.
What?
Yeah,
Again?
Yeah.
Oh, I remember the days it was 30, and I thought that was a lot. 60, it's doubled. Bro.
It's crazy.
It's not supposed to be inflation, man.
I learned that the hard way.
Oh, no.
Next topic.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So I guess some more good news is yet another auto manufacturer has adopted the North American charging standard. So props to this Richard Smith guy who always posts these updates. But it is Mazda. We're running
Almost
out
fully
of
there.
room on the list here. This right column's turning green slowly. Mazda and Lucid.
Sneaking over. What do we got? Dodge, Ram, Jeep, Fiat,
That's
Alfa
the Stellantis
Romeo.
Auto Group, these guys, yeah.
Look at
VinFast,
that.
which is, I think, Vietnamese. Ferrari, Aston, McLaren, and then you have Canoo, Faraday, and DMC.
Canoo will probably join when they actually sell a vehicle. Oh!
They're
But
really
remember,
weird-looking cars.
Go EV. Oh!
Who?
Their ticker. Oh, no. Okay.
Okay. We'll blast through these. Just a couple random more bits of EV news. The Goodyear has come out with a new tire specifically marketed for EVs, which I think is pretty brilliant. I'll show you what this looks like. This the electric drive 2, and this is a Sawyer Merritt tweet here. Long-lasting compound. They have foam on the inside, so they're like noise-proof and all that. You don't really need special tires for an EV. Like, you really don't.
It seems like that's like an upsell. Do you really does it make a difference?
That's exactly it.
I guess the idea is, maybe if you had a tire that would wear less quickly because the vehicle's heavier, so you might wear your tires up. But wouldn't that be true of all tires?
The fact is, all cars have gotten ridiculously heavy. So, let me do a quick search. Model 3 weight.
Okay.
So the Model 3 is between 3,800 and 4,000 pounds. So go on the high end, call it 4,000 pounds.
Okay.
So let's look at an Audi wagon. This is one of my favorite Audis, the RS6. Audi RS6 weight. 5,000 pounds. That's an internal combustion engine vehicle.
And that's a station wagon.
That's a station wagon.
Okay. All right.
So, I mean, I can compare it to Model Y weight instead and make it a little more reasonable, but it's still heavier.
Yeah.
My point isn't to compare Audi to Tesla, more to say that like new cars
There's a
have just gotten
non-battery
heavy.
vehicle that is also very heavy.
All of them. Everything
That's
has
very
gotten
interesting.
so
What
heavy.
is like a 328 weigh? Or do like a 335, like a BMW 335 weight? Because that's a 4-door car.
35,
That's pretty
3,600
close to the
pounds.
Model Y. What was the Model Y, like 3,900?
Model 3 was.
Sorry, the Model 3.
Yeah,
What
it's
was it, like 38?
38 to 4.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, 400 pounds more. I mean, yeah, you're right. That's what, 12, 13% more? Can you really say that makes much of a difference? What,
They've
more than
all
12,
gotten heavy. So
That's
I know
interesting.
that EVs are heavy, no arguing, but I think it's more to do with just modern car standards.
How about Prius? Toyota Prius, like 4 or whatever you want to call it.
the new ones? 3 to
Okay,
3,300.
that's a light one.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's how they got that car to be so efficient.
They look
went
nice, too.
Ultra light on the Prius. That's smart.
They look really, really
I
nice.
do think Toyota's a smart company. I think they dropped the ball on going full EV, but I do think they're a fantastic car company. Like, if it wasn't going to be a Tesla, I'd probably buy a Toyota. Well, we have the Toyota Sienna.
That's right.
Put our money where our mouth is. So
Look at these modded Priuses. Like people, like the car community has actually embraced the Prius. It's gone from being like the laughingstock of the car world to like actually a kind of cool car.
That's interesting. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't buy one anymore today with EVs. I mean, I like your argument. If you got 2 systems to deal with when you have a hybrid, it's twice as much stuff to go wrong.
People say it's
frankly.
the best of both worlds. I honestly think it's the worst of both. I honestly think it's the worst of both worlds.
I agree with that phrase wholeheartedly. Yeah. Huh. Okay. Well, I don't know how that person's going to get over a speed bump. But okay. In the meantime, what else?
In the meantime, we'll just fly through these EV news sectors. Fire truck. They made an EV fire truck, and it's in use. And I think it's really cool. And they're using it in Arizona.
What?
Let me show you this. Look at this. Boom. Fully electric. They had one in LA that was announced like a year or 2 ago, but that one still had a diesel generator attached.
Yeah. What does this get? Like 20 miles?
So this is pure electric.
Uh-huh.
And well, there's some interesting things about this. So it's a little bit better than I would have expected. It says it
24?
did 9 calls the other day.
Oh.
And well, as of the date this was posted, which was the January 8th. But so during those 9 calls, it went from a 70% state of charge to a 46% state of charge, which isn't that bad. And
I guess it depends how far away the calls were. Like, if all of the calls were within half a mile, that might be pretty bad.
to be fair, there's so many fire stations that like the average fire truck doesn't travel that much per day. Most of the time, it's just idle
Yeah,
at
that's
the
a good
station.
point. Yeah,
just charging time.
But why wasn't even like charged up to like 80 or 90%? I mean, I know ideally not 100, but 70.
I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
why. But the fact is, it lasts, and it's
Because from overnight it went from 90 to 70.
it's
Just sitting there.
Mesa. It's probably chilly, and well, Mesa's pretty far south. I think it might be chilly there right now. I know if you go up to
Desert.
Flagstaff, it's
yeah, that's
snow.
a good point. Ay.
But yeah, anyway, 1.4 million for this truck versus 1 million even for an internal combustion engine.
I will say those trucks are very loud, the fire trucks. And so I bet the EV, you know what I would love? An EV garbage truck. Those suckers, when they come by, like when it's like, you know, a day off or whatever, and for some reason they're on, they're so loud. They always wake me up because the recycle people come at like 7:10. It's like, for once, God damn it, I want to sleep a little bit.
A lot of those sounds will probably still stay if it's an EV, though. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Someone's asking who makes it. So this is
Your
by
mom.
E1. Your mama makes it. It's made by E1, which is a subsidiary of the REV Group. These guys right here. They're the ones who make like fire trucks and ambulances for the U.S. already. So it's pretty dang official.
Slapped a battery on. Okay.
Okay. All right. A little more on the car stuff, and then we can move on. I'm so excited for all the car developments that have happened.
I like this. I mean, what'd you think? You weren't here for the Cybertruck.
No, I wasn't.
Oh,
I
that's
missed Franny too much. I
right.
had to go back.
No,
to
that's
SAC.
okay. Yeah,
You drove it, right?
Yeah. What do you think about the fact that they don't have FSD for it yet? To me, it's a pisser. But
If you buy the Foundation series, it does come with FSD eventually.
soon,
soon.
Elon time.
Right now, there's no
2 weeks.
FSD or even it's always 2 weeks away. Or even autopilot. I don't think right now.
No, dude. No parking sensors either.
Yeah, none of the new Teslas have parking sensors.
But you were saying no. You were saying that they have the vision-based sensors.
yes,
Not this. This doesn't even have the vision-based sensors.
in the works, I guess. If I'm not mistaken, though, when the Model 3 came out, that one also didn't have anything. I could be wrong, but
Well, it probably still had the old radar sensors.
yeah, but I don't think you could use autopilot on it when it first came out.
Oh, really?
I think that took a little bit of time.
Oh, that's interesting.
So with the truck, I don't know what the delay
Christian's
is.
shorting.
I don't know what the delay
Tesla.
is on this one. I don't think it's just because of the size of the truck. That feels like it'd be easy to factor in.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's the rear wheel steering and it's very different to operate that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's got to be a reason.
How did that feel to steer?
Initially you're like, oh yeah, this is easy, and it certainly is easier. Like it's not as exhausting, but then again, it depends on how much you drive. Like I think if you drive all day, it's like, oh my gosh, yes, this is like ergonomic. This is good. But if you're rarely driving, I don't think it made a difference. Like I went in the. I loved it when I first started driving it. I honestly did. I loved it. I'm like, this is so easy. This is responsive. This is nice. I like the steer by wire. And then I kind of forgot about it. Then I drove my Plaid back home, and then I'm like, I just steered by column or whatever you want to call it. I noticed no difference. Like going back to it. It's not like I went back into the old car and I'm like, ew, what is this?
I think it would have been a better comparison if you compared it to like a truck.
That's fair.
Because the turning radius is awful. You'd have to do 3-point turns for everything. Whereas the Cybertruck, if it feels like your Model S, that's kind of cool.
That's a good point. That's fair. Okay. I'll give you that. That is true.
You should definitely still buy one so I can give it a try.
Yes.
I'll let you know my opinion.
But what about the Apple Pro Vision headset? Is it worth buying? Because apparently that goes on pre-sale tomorrow. YouTube, no custom app.
Really?
Yeah, and there was another one. Was it Spotify? I think it was Spotify. No custom app.
The Vision Pro, look, it's cool.
Netflix, no custom app either?
I think that I saw on Twitter.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was only Disney. Disney so far is the only like streaming company that's going to do the custom app. Now that's okay. I mean, they could easily add the custom app. Like the hard part is the content. The content's there. I don't think making the app is necessarily that hard. I am curious how the whole spatial video thing is because I've started taking spatial video. Sorry, you might not know what that is, Green Texter. But yeah, I started taking spatial video of like skiing or snowboarding or whatever, and it's I don't know. I hope it's cool, but I do want to try that. But part of me is kind of like, do we just try it in the Apple Store first? I don't know.
Yeah, probably. It's really cool.
Test it on the jet.
Test it on the jet. Why?
That's it.
Like what
That's
makes
it. Now we gotta
the
buy
jet
it.
different? Yeah.
Because you can have like multiple monitors.
I'm sold. I'm buying it.
Yeah. I mean, you might find use for it. I just don't think the average person's willing to pay that much for
but
what
that's
it is.
a good point, though. So when you're in your plane, you could have your whole studio.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Next time I'm on my plane, I'll
I can
borrow
just
one
see
and try it out.
Andrew Tate. Stop being broke.
Someone in the comments says Andrew Tate got his cars and etc. back.
I did see that too. I was
really?
surprised by that. Yeah.
Source, bro?
No, it was like this must have been like a week ago at this point. Like $10 million worth of stuff or whatever. Assets. We don't know how many debts he has against them. Probably 11. But supposedly he got $10 million worth of access to his assets back, which I was surprised by. But because like he should have gotten that back a long time ago. We were gonna get that back. But I mean, good for him. Like. Everything continues to go in his direction so far. Like, if they really had evidence here, they shouldn't be throwing him in jail and holding his stuff, that's for sure. But there are a lot of people who are like, I don't know, man. I've read the complaint. I've read the cases. They say this. And they're like, he deserves to be in jail. I'm like, oh. And, you know, I in fairness, I haven't gone through the cases in detail. I was more interested in going through that Coinbase lawsuit yesterday. So, but it did seem like he got stuff back. We'll see how long that lasts.
I'm seeing he won his legal challenge and he is to get his stuff back. I just don't know if it's officially happened yet. But yeah, it looks like he won the case.
Oh, the actual conveyance of the asset.
Yeah.
Well, they probably have to unbury them from like all the local mayors' homes and stuff.
Take him back out of Bulgaria and back into Romania.
Rip. So, all right, what else we got?
Okay.
I think we were on more car news, and then I got
a little bit more.
Sorry.
I'm so excited about this stuff.
I like it. No, please. Yeah,
Okay.
it's better than bolts. Oh.
So we'll talk about Boeing too. At Boeing disaster. Okay, Mercedes got a new thing called Sound Drive. This will be available for its EVs as well as anything that has the. It's called, I think, the MBUX, whatever their fancy user interface system is called. And so check this out. This is from What's Inside posted this.
Oh, I love What's Inside.
I love What's Inside too. And this is in partnership with will.i.am. And it turns your car into a musical instrument.
Okay.
So I'll show you the clip in a second. It's just hard to understand what's happening without the context. When the car slows down, the beat kind of slows down. The percussion goes away. When you steer, it changes the music. When you accelerate, it changes the music. So it's one of those things where you're like, that's dumb. I don't need it. And then you watch it, you go, well, I kind of want it though. Let me see your thoughts on this. Watch this.
Is this copyright?
Audio? Is it good now?
Copyrighted?
Oh well. Here we go.
I don't think it's copyrighted because it's dynamic.
Mercedes drive is idle right now. As soon as we accelerate, the music changes. Listen to that.
Isn't that kind of cool? Like
Yeah, I feel like you would almost have to be there to really fully experience it. But I see what you're saying, and this is the perfect kind of thing for Elon to copy in a software update.
You're not wrong.
Then I'll go. He copies a lot from Mercedes, which I don't blame. Mercedes is fantastic. They're a great company, but yeah, I don't know. But like, part of me is kind of like, it's like plaid mode. You know, it's like you got your friends, and it's like, you want to launch, you know, and then I like, Lauren, you want to launch? Like, shut the stop. No, like, she gets so mad at me.
It's so fun.
It's so fun,
it
but
feels
she
surreal.
hates it. Yeah.
It's scarier when you're the passenger and you're not in control.
It makes her feel nauseous. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the last thing I have for car news is ChatGPT for Volkswagen. This is per TechCrunch. So they said this is for drivers who want an AI-based chatbot to read researched content out loud to them. It's not available in the US, unfortunately. They're considering it. But Mercedes actually already has this, as far as I know. You already have ChatGPT, or not ChatGPT. Yeah, ChatGPT on your Mercedes.
I mean, theoretically, if you just have your Bluetooth connected, you could just like audio talk to GPT your whole drive.
This one's more gimmicky. I think the sound drive is actually cool, which is also gimmicky, but it's unique.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a musician. I think it's super cool.
Yeah, it would be kind of cool. And I think Elon's basically guaranteed to copy it. Who, by the way, said that, we were having this discussion the other day, that Elon wouldn't rig the Mr. Beast revenue for his Twitter post? So Mr. Beast reposted a video he'd originally posted to YouTube on X.
That's right.
And we were having this debate as to whether or not Elon was going to rig the income.
I think he will.
I'm almost certain he will.
Yeah. I think it was someone in the office who was, I'm not going to mention who, I think it was McKay. Someone in the office was saying, like, no, like, it's probably not going to be a good look because, like, Twitter revenue is not as good. So he's going to be public about his numbers, and no one's going to want to post on X. I think Musk
That's why he's going to rig it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I think is going to happen, is like he's going to have his top 1% of content creators just get a higher ratio. They're going to be like, look at this amazing pay. Yeah. And I mean, honestly, it'll be a brilliant move of him. It would honestly, like, it would be cheap marketing. Now, the thing is, Mr. Beast, I don't know how much like the views convert per view, because a lot of these are, 7-year-olds spamming it over again. Now, that's not to say there isn't value in advertising to children, but there are substantial limits to advertising to children. In fact, we went through, what do they call it? Adpocalypse. That's what it was called. Right, yeah. This was like, 5 years ago or whatever. The Adpocalypse, no comments on videos made for kids and severely restricted advertisement opportunities and such. But anyway, let's just say, I'll make an example. Let's say the ad revenue would be, I don't know, $50,000 for a Mr. Beast video on YouTube. I wouldn't be surprised if realistically it was a tenth of that on Twitter. And so then I think of, okay, is it worth to Elon Musk to try to pop that and go, slide an extra 50K? Now you exceed the YouTube revenue for the cost of $50,000, but the impression that you create is like almost like a cheap ad to maybe get more content creators to try X. I'm a little sus. Yeah, I think he's going to get a beefed up rate, like almost guaranteed.
Yeah, I am.
Okay, you mentioned some loose bolts.
Oh man, I thought they were going to rebrand the frickin' plane after the deaths. Okay, because of poor training, because the two crashes, the 737 MAX poor crashes, the two crashes that happened were in developing countries, supposedly lack of training on how to override when one of your pitch sensors goes away. I don't remember exactly what it was, but the plane kind of does this, and you're fighting it, and you have to like turn this wheel to override the control or some crazy thing. I don't know all the details of that, but I thought they were going to rebrand the plane after that, because after that, you hear... you go into the plane and you have the little seat back pocket. A stewardess told me once she turns the little emergency things around or purposely tries to put the vomit bags in front of where it says 737 Max.
Oh, wow.
Because it's that bad of branding, and then the customers have this disgusted and nervous vibe of being in a Max. So I thought they'd rebrand. I never thought the freaking bolts and the doors would start falling off.
Door flew right out.
What the hell? So what happened? How do bolts fall off? Whose fault is it? Is it Boeing's? Is it the Spirit Aerospace Systems or whatever who manufacture the door? Who's to blame here? Who's in charge?
It seems to be the Spirit Aerosystems because they have a class action lawsuit against them right now.
From Boeing included?
I don't know. That's a good question. But Boeing did do a preliminary kind of investigation of all their MAX planes. They found loose screws on 5 other planes.
Same door plugs.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So that's, if I'm not mistaken, that's the reason why they grounded them, is they started the investigation. Like, yeah, we're seeing this. Let's just.
You know what blows my mind is that, and Brett mentioned this from Ark Invest on Twitter. He said, the odds of the 2 seats next to that door plug being empty are 1 in 425. So Brett, who's a smart guy, is sussing out that Boeing knew about the problem, but decided to fly the planes anyway while maybe they were working on fixing the problem. Didn't mention anything. I don't know. What do you think? I mean, that's pretty sus that those 2 seats are empty.
The reason why I don't necessarily agree with that is the risk to reward ratio is so high. I think it just makes more sense to change out the bolts however much it costs rather than risk a single one of these disasters, which fortunately nobody ended up getting hurt.
Yes.
But it was still a disaster. It's not a good look for the company.
That's a really good point. And then, then it makes you wonder, did the Alaska Airlines company know about the loose bolts and decide to keep flying? Because it wouldn't be their reputation if the door fell off, but it's their money if the plane's grounded.
That's more possible.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's more possible.
And Boeing afterwards, for what it's worth, down 18% since that incident, which that's 18% on what it was probably 150 billies. That's let's see here, times 18%. That's about $27 billion. It's a lot. Somebody flew out here to do a podcast with us. And they said their plane got de-iced, and we were calculating, it's $8,000 to de-ice a plane, whatever plane they were on. I think it was the 787. Man, his ticket was $280. That's 28 passengers of revenue lost just for de-icing the plane. Imagine the thought of having for Alaska Airlines, but what if the plane's grounded for, 2 weeks while the freaking bolts are gone? That's also a lot of lost revenue. I hate to say it, but I have a little bit of this jaded POV that there's maybe if nobody's sitting there, we'll be fine. I don't know. But that was from Brett at ARC.
I think it's more possible that Alaska would have known about it rather than Boeing. Not saying that either one did, but I just think that's more in the realm of possibility.
It's we'll just not seat someone there. We'll just, we'll get that fixed next time we're in service kind of thing, you know?
But who knows? Who knows? Yeah, stock fell 8.5% on the news, and then I guess you said 18% since then.
Total, with that included, yep.
A couple interesting things that came up from this. So, good old Wall Street bets.
Oh, no.
They go, purely hypothetical, of course, right? Imagine sitting in an airplane when suddenly the effing door blows out. Now, while everyone is screaming and grasping for air, you instead turn on your noise-canceling headphones and ignore that baby crying next to you, calmly open up your Robinhood app or whatever broker you prefer, and load up on Boeing puts. Right? There's no way the market could have already priced that in. It's literally just happening. The question is, would that be considered insider trading? I mean, you are literally inside of that wreck of an airplane. On the other hand, one could argue that you're also outside of the airplane, given the door just blew off. But the question is this considered insider trading?
This scenario is hilarious because it's so ludicrous, right? This idea of I might die as this plane is crashing. Puts by puts. The scenario of it is ludicrous. I loved your reaction to it when somebody in the office is like, is this insider trading? And we're thinking about this. And your reaction to this is I don't know, man. A plane going down like that or the door blowing off is pretty damn public.
Seeing the door falling from the sky is pretty public. I don't think that's insider information by any means.
And then are you an insider solely because you're inside the vehicle?
Well, like this guy said, you're also outside because the door's missing.
Yeah. I mean, I would argue that the whole insider trading is based on material, non-public information. So obviously, this is material. it's public, though, because it's exposed to the public. I think insider trading occurs when you have people within a company who trade based on information that has not yet hit the news media, not from people on the outside seeing your company do stupid shit and then trading on that information.
I agree.
So I think you're probably, if this ever happens, not financial advice, but I think you're okay making a trade.
But you should also go into the brace position, like just in case.
And put your mask on first.
Yeah.
I saw an article that said it was insider information, but it's legal that you can trade on it.
See, but that depends on the term insider. Like, are we talking about insider being an employee or a representative of the company? It would be interesting.
Well, we have the podcast coming up with who said it?
Who said it?
Is it the George Gammon one? Yeah, the George Gammon
Oh,
one.
does George talk about that?
You guys were talking about insider information about real estate. Like,
Oh, the yield curve. That video is going to be so good. About, yes, you're right. We had a whole insider info discussion about how the yield curve could have possibly inverted in August of 2019. And I looked at him like, come on, you mean to tell me the bond market predicted that we had have a pandemic? And he's like, yes. And I'm like, what? And we really got to see the whole video. But basically, he's like, insiders knew and started trading that the pandemic was about to hit the fan.
Wow.
Well,
That's spicy.
that's very
That's
juicy.
spicy.
Yeah.
I mean, Brett had some interesting takes too, and we can cover those right after this. The last bit on the Boeing bit is apparently 2 phones were found on the ground next to where apparently the door had blown out, like in the air. And it was an iPhone. I don't know if this is props to iPhone or props for this case company, but this is this guy went on the news media with this of like finding a phone on the ground with it still opened and unlocked to an Alaska Airlines email over here. And this was found, again, directly down from where the plane had apparently lost its door. Isn't that crazy?
What I think is more crazy is that Traveler Tran, which that picture was up there with his name on it, Traveler Tran, was during this crisis looking up a receipt for his bags. That seems, I guess, or maybe he was looking at the receipt. And it's like, oh, how much did I pay for those bags? It gets sucked out. Like, I don't know. Like,
how much of a refund am I going to get?
Boring thing to do. Yeah, it's like, I'm going to start calculating my refund here. Gets sucked out. That's funny. Oh my gosh. That is wild, though. It must have, my guess is, something would have had to have broken its fall because it looks like it's off the side of the road here. There's some grass. So it would have had to have hit the trees
shrubs,
or
the
branches or something very flexible. And then multiple layers of flex. Like at the on the highway, they put up those yellow barricades that are designed to collapse slowly, boom, 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 and bring your car to a stop. My guess is it would be something like that.
You're right.
Because there's got to be a terminal velocity on that iPhone. Like there's a max speed the iPhone's going to be able to fall.
Well, there's a case of a skydiver jumping out and parachutes not deploying, which I guess at that point you're not skydiving, you're just kind of jumping out of a plane. Yeah. But there's a case of someone who did that and survived the fall, granted with broken ribs and a lot of injuries, because they ended up landing, I think it was on a slope with a bunch of trees, and they went through a lot of branches on their way down.
Yeah. See, that on a slope is also perfect. Ideally, like not that you want to fall out of a plane, but like frankly, I
don't recommend it.
Yeah, don't. Yeah, the terminal velocity of an iPhone, the terminal velocity of a large screen down iPhone is 30 miles per hour. The larger the iPhone, the lower the terminal velocity with the screen down. The maximum is around 100 miles per hour, but that would only happen if the phone's screen was perpendicular to the ground. So the terminal velocity would be presumably somewhere between 30 to 100 miles per hour, because the odds are it's not just going to fall flat. It's probably going to spin or contort or do some kind of uncontrolled fall. Yeah. I don't see it falling just like this. It's got to be spinning or something.
But it's also not going to fall completely straight up and down either.
I don't think so. Yeah. Exactly.
You're going to get varying kind of air resistance on its way down.
So I would guess it's like probably, let's just split the difference. Okay, 70, 45, add, is that 70? Yeah, 70. So add 35 rather. So you're talking about 65 miles an hour. I mean, I have to say, it's 65 miles an hour. That's still some good speed, but breakable by trees and brush for sure. Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
And then just because we have it on the thumbnail, Spirit Airlines merger failed.
So did Dave Portnoy's trade.
That was crazy. You told me about that. That like he loaded up right before
What was that, Mikey? That looked inappropriate. What was that on that toy?
This is the
what is this?
the thing you asked me to open up on my screen at the beginning of the podcast. Remember? Is this what people were pissed out about? The windows open, you can see all the buildings in the back. No, I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, yeah. So
Spirit.
The $3.8 billion proposal from JetBlue to acquire Spirit fell through. Portnoy ended up getting a little bit screwed. We heard that they might have been forced to restructure, although since then they said that they're not going to be restructuring, so I don't know. But man, their stock is down like 60% since then.
Boy, it's a bummer, but I also get it. What's happening is think about how many low-cost airlines you have. You have Spirit and Frontier. Didn't Frontier get acquired? Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know if Frontier ended up getting acquired because then Spirit would really be the only other low cost. You do have Southwest, but they're kind of a class of their own.
Yeah.
Southwest is loved by people who love Southwest. People who don't know Southwest and try it, I find some people hate it. I hated it. Mostly because I got split up from Lauren the one time on it, and we were like early in our relationship. We didn't understand this whole like you have to race to get your seat.
It's like a bus.
Oh, but it's horrible. Like this guy behind us like shoved a briefcase between us, mine, to grab the seat. And I'm like, my God. Yeah, it just felt like, and he's like some 65-year-old dude in a suit. And I'm like, holy smokes. Sorry, Mr. Gensler. Oh, I mean...
I've never been a fan personally of Southwest for the same thing. It's chaotic boarding. I'm not a fan of that.
That stress is too much.
Yeah.
You know what? Like, what I always used to do is I would kind of try to be the last one on the plane because I'm like, my ticket has my seat reserved. So it's like I check in, so they're not going to give my seat away because I'm checked in. But like, what's the rush? If I rush, like, I get it if you're like one of the first people on. That's chill. One of the first people on, great. But if you're like in that middle 90% of boarding passengers, you're just waiting in that damn hot COVID-filled sausage with no ventilation. Why? Just wait until the end.
There is one saving grace for Southwest, and this is making me consider using them for the rest of this year while I'm traveling here. And that is, if you fly with them, I think it's 20 or 24 times in 1 year, you get basically special status with them, and it moves over to the next year too, even if you don't get it again the next year. They give you priority boarding,
Okay.
and you can bring a +1.
Oh, see, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's actually not bad. The plus ones are good because that's the pisser. Nobody wants to be like,
yeah. So being able to bring Franny along every now and then, and we both get seated up front like that, it might be worth it if you're a frequent traveler for Southwest.
And they fly out of Burbank.
That's a big difference. I don't want to go to LAX, man. I don't like
LAX is the worst. Absolutely worst. Burbank is a wonderful airport. It is almost like a little private airport because it's just like there are like 2 security lines. It's just you walk in and it's like 3 minutes to the gate, and it's all Southwest. It seems like it's great, and they don't have those sausage hallways because you walk outside and you have the stairs outside. It's such a cool airport. Yeah.
Okay. How are we doing on time, Kevin?
I think I got like 11 minutes before Lauren chops my butt. I mean, is slightly disappointed in me.
Slightly disappointed. Okay, well, I guess we're going to have to save the Brett reactions we had planned for tomorrow.
Okay.
But let's touch on... We talked a lot with Brett. We talked cryptocurrency. We talked AI. So we won't have time to cover his reactions, but I did want to show you this. Well, let me load this on a different tab first.
Okay.
Where I have a premium YouTube subscription. You don't have to watch the ads.
There we go.
Okay. Coinbase commercial.
This is a Coinbase commercial. 1 minute long. Okay.
Let me know your thoughts on this.
Break the cycle. All right, here we go.
Born into a system.
What?
System with numbers and papers.
And lines. And waiting. You work hard, get good grades, go to college.
I want to go to college. I got good grades.
I overachieved.
That's right, she did.
Debt is good?
Debt is so good.
So much debt.
I can totally save up and buy a house and start a family.
I want a family.
Oh.
Starting a family means you need 2 or 3 jobs.
You can't afford to buy.
Oh.
You can't afford to rent.
Used cars cost as much as the new ones.
Oh.
Good debt is
I was ahead of my class.
Houses are too hard, get good grades, go to
The
college.
system, the numbers.
Rent is freaking insane.
Breaking news. Everything is terrible.
Does it have to be this way?
What if it was different?
It's always been that way.
We've got to build our way out of it. Yeah.
Put control back to the hands of the people.
A system with less paperwork.
No waiting.
Permissionless.
Just because you're born into a system?
Doesn't mean you have to live with it.
What are your initial thoughts?
Yeah, kind of a cool like blockchain ad, really, right? Like anti-fiat, anti-deficit spending. It's anti-system because, quite frankly, not only has the system created a lot of that resentment that they're echoing here, but it's about to get worse. It's about to get, I think, a lot worse. I think we're knocking on the door of substantial joblessness. I think companies are quote unquote optimistic, but I think within the next 2-3 months, a lot of people who are not saved up to get through like a 5-year transition, it's going to hit hard. And so I'm really excited about our startups because we're good. We got like, 5-10 year runway, whatever we need. But as far as the vast majority of folks, I don't think people are in that sort of position. I think buy now, pay later is going straight up. Credit card debt's going straight up. The student loan repayments, on top of all the inflation, the food insecurity, rents, even if they come down as rents are starting to crash in certain markets, especially where there's been too much overbuilding with multifamily, it's still high. So I think they hit on all the right sentiment. I don't know if their solution solves that for anyone's lifetime watching it right now. It's such a like messed up, broken system that it's sort of like, well, what's the first thing that happens if you move away from money printing? Okay, well, now you get to experience, I hate to say it, but real economic cycles. So real economic cycle does not just mean real, growth. It also means a real crash. So a real crash where there is no money printer means no support at the worst possible time, which means basically unlikely support for small businesses or individuals. So a lot more bankruptcies. But a lot of people say that debt all needs to be squeezed out of the system anyway. So just let everybody go bankrupt and you have your great reset, so to speak. So it'll be really interesting. So now with all of that out of the way, what do I think about the commercial? Let's just say I think the link was actually a little weak to trade on Coinbase. I think they could have gone a little bit more in the angle of like, hey, democratized way. Oh, but they can't. I was going to say they could pitch the ETF, but they can't. You can't invest in the ETFs through Coinbase.
Although apparently they are, what did Brett say? Coinbase is still
custodying.
Yes,
custodying. Yeah,
yes.
But which will be at a fraction of the fees. But point is, like, Coinbase isn't even allowed to advertise the ETFs because they're not a broker dealer.
Yeah.
How weird. So they can't even pitch the ETFs. They can't sell the ETFs. They can make money off custody. Okay, interesting.
They could just sell the underlying.
They could sell crypto. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it resonates with people. I don't know if those folks are ready to go all in on crypto. So I don't know about I'll put it this way. I don't think it's an effective ad. I think it's a good ad, but not an effective ad.
I saw a very strong appeal to emotion in this one.
That's all it was. Yeah.
And what struck me as particularly weird is they weren't going after like big money, like, hey, invest in this like
everyday person.
Yes. They went for it feels like the most vulnerable people.
Yes.
You can't afford rent and you can't afford a car. Invest in crypto. This will save you.
Oh, that's interesting. That's an interesting implication. You're right. See, I took that as like, why are they advertising to a demo that might not be able to afford to do any kind of investing anyway? But I think you're right. There's like this counter implication of like, well, invest in a better system and then maybe it'll save you. But I don't know, will it? I don't know. That's interesting.
It's high risk.
High
risk, high reward. But
yeah.
And the last thing I'll say on cryptocurrency here is, do you remember the SEC account getting compromised on X?
Yes.
So I thought this was funny. If you go back to October 16th, 2023, the SEC said, careful what you read on the internet. The best source of information about the SEC is the SEC.
Oh.
And they told us about the ETFs being approved before it happened because the account was compromised.
Yeah. That was definitely an egg on face moment. The person running the Twitter account probably got a little bit of trouble, I think.
Did you find out what happened? Like why they got compromised?
No.
Here's the safety team from Twitter or from X.
Oh, I did see that. Yeah. The two-factor authentication on phone access or whatever.
Based on investigation, not due to any of X's systems, like a breach on X's systems, but rather due to an unidentified individual obtaining control over a phone number associated with the SEC government account through a third party and 2FA. So basically SIM swap with no 2FA in place.
Yeah, SIMs, it's tough because technically the phone is 2FA for a lot of people, right? So So then that means somebody was essentially able to SIM swap the SEC, whatever number was used for the SEC, SIM swap them, and then change the password. So you basically have to, you think, oh yeah, 2FA is protecting me. But to some extent, cell phone 2FA is actually weaker than having no 2FA. Because otherwise you'd have to have somebody's password. You'd have to hack somebody's password.
I don't know if it's weaker than not having it, but like that SMS-based multi-factor authentication is definitely nowhere near as secure as like an app-based two-factor authentication.
Yeah, oh my God, yeah.
SMSs can be intercepted.
Yeah.
You can get SIM swapped, and then that's, like you said, that's also where your security is. So yeah, I am a huge advocate for using like Google Auth or Authy or any of these other authenticator apps rather than SMS-based.
I'm going to look at mine. I have the security key and... what's it called? Security key and Google Auth on mine, but I don't know. If I go to like lost my password, let's say, I wonder if it would let me reset it with just my phone, even if I have those other two things in place. That would be very interesting. I'll try it. We'll try it really quick. We'll test it.
Yeah, a lot of them do let you fail over to SMS, and I'm not a fan of that.
Verify your identity by entering your email address. Okay, well, that's 2 steps now. That's hard because you'd have to SIM swap and get email. Oh, I don't even know what the email is for that account.
Oh, it's so secure, you're protecting yourself from yourself.
I can't even get into it myself. I don't even know what email it is. I mean, it's written down where, okay, here we go. No, it just wanted me to verify the email address. It's not asking for a 2FA through that email. Where should we send the confirmation code? Email.
That's your only
SMS
option
is
email.
not even an option.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah, that is interesting.
Well, that's good. Yeah, SMS, that's not the safe way to do it.
No.
But anyway, I got so much more I wanted to talk about, but I guess we'll
have to hit that
day.
tomorrow. So with that said, hit the button!
Even though I'm a licensed financial advisor, licensed real estate broker, and becoming a stockbroker, this video is neither personalized financial nor real estate advice for you. It is not tax, legal, or otherwise personalized advice tailored to you. This video provides generalized perspective, information, and commentary. Any third-party content I show should not be deemed endorsed by me. This video is not and shall never be deemed reasonably sufficient information for the purposes of evaluating a security or investment decision. Any links or promoted products are either paid affiliations or products or services we may benefit from. I also personally operate an actively managed ETF and hold long positions in various securities mentioned, including potential short positions. However, I have no relationship to any issuers, nor am I presently acting as a market maker.